You think you got everybody fooled, don't you? Well, not me, honey. I've known you too long. And no matter how hard you try to deny it, I can tell you care as much about him as he cares about you. To admit that you love him. And I know that you do.
I'm gonna be just like you, no matter what you say I can do. I'll follow you until the day I can smile.
Because unfortunately it has been outed that they have groomed a child.
Victim blaming is never okay.
Well, Len, you might want to update that to include 14-year-old girls as well, because yes, this dude was recently outed for being a pedophile.
The Gacha Life community was a subject I've been wanting to talk about for the mere fascination I have with the community itself, like, existing, like, in this field, like, why does this thing exist? The Gacha Life community is like the littlest pet shop community I had growing up as a kid, taking this little niche thing that they're interested in and combining it with YouTube. And that's honestly how a lot of these communities surrounding children pop up, because a bunch of kids with the same interest want to express that to the internet, regardless of how cringeworthy that is in execution. Look, kids are stupid and they do stupid shit. And that comes across to the older generation of internet users as cringe. And it's just gonna be this never-ending cycle that will always exist so long as kids are allowed on the internet. I have a general rule about kids being online and their rampant internet cringe factories that just keep producing endless amounts of content. Let these cringy kids lie. Leave them to their cringy vices, for one day that cringy, edgy child will grow up to be a cynical asshole like me. Allow them to fester in their embarrassing choices so that they may mature to learn from their mistakes. This cringy, insecure moment in their lives is a time for self-discovery and growing up into a mature, level-headed individual. Not to take advantage of them sexually and traumatize them. Attention all fellow adults. Leave children alone. Seriously, this isn't that hard, guys. This is not difficult to do. Alright, let's all be honest with ourselves, right? You guys are smart, my audience. You guys got brains. I'm not going to repeat myself like a broken record forever, talking down to you the same points that I've been making from my last two videos. Look, we all understand collectively, as an audience, that sexually taking advantage of a children or dating anyone underage is bad. Right? We all learned that, right? Right? Yes, you are my audience. You are smart. You know this. Good. Great. But I need to needlessly repeat myself for the reason that this case that we're going to be talking about today, there is this massive push of support and justification for this behavior coming from a very unexpected place. Today we'll be discussing the Gacha Life predator, LenTotally, and how a community of young children he has built is defending and justifying his actions whilst also blaming the victim.
Anime bitches, I look at her titties, then I take her home and we count up these 50s.
So, who is LenTotally? LenTotally is a 20-year-old gacha YouTuber who creates original animations using the Gacha Life style. To understand Gacha Life animation on YouTube, I have to provide examples of the content itself so you can appropriately set the bar.
Thinking on a whole nother level, coming from my mind.
Yeah, so it's bad. It's really, really bad. The Gacha Life animation community, if that's what you want to call it, is more or less a slideshow of images compiled from the website itself. But what made Len so popular and differentiate from the rest is that his animations were like actual animations, like the little chibi cartoon characters. They moved and shit. Like it's really impressive for Gacha Life standards, which, as we have already established, the bar is it's on the floor. Like someone completely dropped the ball here. Like this ain't it, chief. So Len has established a pretty large fan base with having 600,000 subscribers, which from Gacha Life standards again is bar's pretty low. So this is like an actual celebrity for these people. Len, to an extent, is a genius. In a sense that the bar was already set so fucking low, but he was also already talented, so all he really had to do was flex his animation skills to show these young child animators how a pro does it. And this just made the community go fucking wild. Like, this guy inspired so many people to make their own Gacha Life channels and desire to be just like this guy. He set a pretty high standard. Unfortunately, the Gacha Life community is full of vulnerable, impressionable children. Children who aren't aware that stuff like supporting maps is not okay. If you were to explore the cringe pages created on Reddit about Gacha Life, like, content, it's... those kids there, they're getting pretty fucking wild by making not safe for work content on a children's dress-up game.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Guys, this is the internet, okay? I can't make this shit up even if I fucking tried. I'm literally not this, like, fucking creative to have to make this shit up. And a lot of the not safe for work content that exists on Gacha Life has characters who are canonically, you know, according to the creators of these videos, very, very young. And it doesn't just stop there. There are a bunch of people in the Gacha Life community right now who are map supporters. A map, for those who are unaware, is a minor attracted person. So that's just a fancier way of saying you're a pedophile, basically. What the fuck? The Gacha Life community has accidentally normalized the sexualization and sexual relations between children and adults. A lot of the reasoning behind this could be because children of this generation are discovering the internet and going online and discovering more about sex from just like surface level internet, further maturing and sexualizing this generation of kids. Like, kids today are way more aware of like sex and sexual innuendos than maybe I was as a kid. Like, kids are figuring out what sex is at like the age of 9. Like, what happened? Where are we? This is probably just because society as a whole is becoming increasingly more provocative through its advertising to the modern day music to movies. I mean, it's a lot, and I do worry that this kind of exposure could be damaging to a child's development. Yes, this is a think of the children argument, but, you know, sometimes you gotta think of the children just so that you could prevent shit like this from happening.
Don't let your kids watch it. Before you know it, they're gonna be
Sexting adults, being sexually exploited, and sexualized by adults who want to take advantage of their innocence.
and being healthy.
What's going on with you? What are you talking about?
Recently, Len has been exposed for his Discord conversations with an alleged 14-year-old girl who has remained anonymous. Now, the messages are just, like, it's a bunch of broken English because Len is from the Philippines, but, like, even, like, weird wording aside, you can see what he's after, right?
With blank, our anime night.
I see.
Just continue.
I mean, in reality, you can suck me off as you watch. I won't mind by then. Oh, I see. Do continue, uwu. Because I might just touch my favorite stuff around, might fondle on them too. Is your neck hurting as you do so? You can lean on me, though I might bite.
Sweet to horny real quick.
You complaining?
Nope, continue.
I think it would be easier if I shut you up with my own mouth. Sadly, I might distract you as you work. So how about sit on me instead? You might feel comfortable on me. I hope you don't mind me inserting something.
Okay, now this is something.
Use me as a makeshift massage chair. I'll give comfort, though I do think I work better if you don't have anything on. Let me help you with that. I'd strip you gently, but do tell me what you want. Like a machine, I don't function unless you want me to do something, so you're gonna have to be honest once I start whispering to your ear. Oh dear, you are aware I have very long fingers for that. Very well.
Yeah, I do know, that's why I picked it.
That's most likely the place I'd fuck you.
It's difficult to record with no holder.
Or how loud the noises echo throughout the room. It's one-hand friendly, and I should know.
Probably two. Do tell. Also, hold on, what am I doing again for the vid? I'll try in a bit, but for now, keep going.
Poofed, enjoying yourself, eh?
Probably.
Would like to see how that ends up.
Yeah, I think I'll just send the video tomorrow-ish, and I'm still impressed by how horny you can be in chat.
Poofed, I see.
I might send it while in call, who knows. Ha, if it was, then it would show, cause that shirt is silky.
Oh dear, please spoil me more, I beg of you.
I spoiled you earlier, but you were questioning why, so no. Angry face.
No, that's just my reaction. I still want more.
Nah, you wait.
No, I'm pretty sure you'll be weirded out if I ask for more that time.
You've told me you've ahem to my pics, so asking for more wouldn't be so bad. But do my pictures really turn you on that much?
Yes.
Really?
But videos makes it fappable.
So the video I sent earlier got you so much you wanted to...
Also, it's critical hit. My heart is gonna die out due to excitement, and I would love that. Very. That would be far more enjoyable.
Yeah, you being gentle is impossible. Okay, that's getting me.
Until it gives some sloshing sound.
Won't take long.
Oh, really?
Okay, I think that's enough. You should probably sleep. My brain.
I'm not stopping till you give me one.
Not gonna complain about that. Best I can do right now is just a pic, sadly. Anyways, I'll chat to you later. I'm gonna take a shower.
Another video might be nice. Oh god, lol.
KK.
My D is in the mood. I felt so much pleasure doing it today.
When did you even have the time to?
Before night began.
Now, of course, at face value, an account called LenTotally exposed making one video providing evidence of a Discord conversation between Len and a 14-year-old. Like, yeah, it's fishy if this is all we had to go on. And assuming innocence until proven guilt, it leads to people in the community asking a variety of reasonable questions. Why is there a whole ass channel dedicated to exposing this information instead of going to the police? Is the victim real, and can we confirm that she's 14 years old? Are the messages doctored or edited in a way that they could be faked? Again, all reasonable questions to ask. Remember in situations like Slazo, James Charles, and Pro Jared, those are situations where accusations were made with malice, with no evidence. It is important to question and fact check the proof and to assume innocence until proven guilty. But in this case, we don't really have to do that because it only took Len 3 days to confess that all of this is real. All of it. He confirmed that the evidence is real. Len also confirmed that he knew the person was 14 years old, and he addresses all of this in a response that he made on his community tab, which is all deleted now. Len clearly knew this was wrong. He knew this person was underage. He knew there was a power imbalance since this was a fan, but he gaslights the victim by saying that she flirted with him first, which, considering the power dynamic at play, it would be only reasonable for Len to then proceed to block the child and not engage in conversations with her if that is the case. Or he could tell her that he wants her to suck his dick and wants to fuck her. That's a choice that he made. That he admitted that he made. Now, the majority of the community would agree that this behavior is unacceptable and that Len should be ostracized from the Gacha Life community as a whole. And the majority of people have discarded his excuses and apologies because, you can't apologize for a crime. You can't be like, well, I'm sorry I committed a crime because this is what this is. This is not drama, this is a crime. But this is a special case because the expert of backlash coming from the rational side of the community, which it does exist, I hope, coming with all of this backlash, there also comes a wave of people like this. Hey! No, what the fuck?
You better keep your dirty hands off my Lenchon.
Where did you come from? How did you get in my house?
After looking at the screenshots, it seems like the victim is kind of going with it, so I think that she's not considered as a victim. If she wasn't forced, or if she willingly sent those nude images, videos, or whatever, and if you analyze the messages more, it seems like that she's kind of going with it and likes it when Len kind of sexualizes her. So, like, she's totally not a victim.
Okay, but you do know that, like, Shane Dawson, as an example, right? He had underage fans wanting to fuck him, right? And then he actually kissed an underage fan. And now the entirety of the community says that he's a pedophile, and he's been extradited from the YouTube community because of it. But no, it's because Len does something like this because the 14-year-old actually wanted it. It's totally fine for him to do the same thing. Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. Your argument is stupid. Listen, reading the messages, I can see why people would think that the 14-year-old would be engaging in this, but children can't fucking consent. I'm sorry. That's the biggest problem with this. Yeah, she's engaging in the conversation, but it's because she wants the attention of this adult that she admires and loves. If she wants to engage romantically with him, it is up to the responsible adult in this situation at that point to end the conversation and remove themselves from the situation. Len didn't fucking do that!
You think that Gacha Life is cringe because you think it's funny to make fun of kids.
Honestly, guys, I completely agree with you. After, like, watching the video, I started to think more about, like, mental age. The victim's messages show that she wanted this. These people who keep on referencing about grooming don't really understand that the girl is not exactly a child. Even her way of, like, chatting doesn't exactly show an innocent person who has no idea what they're doing. It's just because she's 14. People are making excuses for her and are disregarding the possibility of her being in the wrong. Okay, ma'am, 14-year-olds can't consent. I'm sorry. I mean, they barely understand the consequences for sexual behavior. They're hormonal and emotionally vulnerable. That is not something as a grown-ass adult whose mental maturity and sexual maturity is beyond that of a child. They don't want to fuck with that. They want to stay the fuck away from children. This isn't that hard. Just date someone your own age. It would make things so less complicated, and it would make me so less frantic and angry. 14 isn't like prepubescent, so Len isn't a pedophile, but he's a child groomer. Like, that is what we're gonna place him under. It's so difficult because, like, the predator hunter community, like, people who expose people online as predators for, like, a living on their channel, they are so often confused with, like, legal definitions of what to classify someone under that they're gonna call someone a pedophile for having interest in someone who's 14, which is not a prepubescent child, therefore not a pedophile. This is something I should make a video on because it happens so often that people will jump to calling someone a pedophile when by legal definitions, most of the people who are exposed as predators aren't, like, pedophiles. You can be a pedophile and a predator, that's for sure, but you can just be a regular ass predator to any age group. Having to call someone straight up a pedophile has to be dependent on the age of the actual victims, and if the age isn't like 12 or younger, you can't classify them as a pedophile, but people often do that because it's easier. But putting the label pedophile is so much more damaging than just calling someone a predator. It's one thing just to call them a predator, because that's just calling out the behavior that they're, like, portraying. But calling someone a pedophile is assuming who they like to victimize. And if the victims themselves are just not prepubescent children, then it's just not true. It's just false. But all that ranting aside, if we're going to classify Len as anything, he is most definitely by definition, a child groomer because he engaged in sexual conversations and encouraged and continued those conversations with someone younger than the age of consent and way younger than the age of adulthood. Len is 20 years old. This person is 14. That's like a junior in college dating a 7th grader in middle school. It doesn't matter if she's engaging and wanting the conversation. She is a child by definition. By legal definition, she is not the age of consent or the age of adulthood.
Bro, this is like my opinion, so like please don't hate or anything, but in my opinion, there clearly is no victim here. The girl is like 14. You know, she's not that young. She knew what she was doing and she knew what she was getting herself into. And she clearly enjoyed it. That's why she continued it. He has fame. This is why she continued to proceed to talk to him. People go after people with fame a lot these days. And some of these people take this stuff too seriously. The girl kinda knew what she was getting herself into. I'm just saying it's my opinion. So any of the arguments that are all just like, the girl had no idea what she was doing are pretty much useless. I can tell too that Len knows what he did as well. But like, probably all the men who are mostly single, I think, would kind of want to do the same thing if they had as many fans as he did. No hate to men though. I'm like 12 years old, by the way, and I have never even been in a situation with a boy. Please don't attack for being on Len's side because I'm not. I just think that there's no victim here, you know?
Well, I would argue that 14 is really young, especially when the age gap between them is, again, a junior in college and a 7th grader. This victim didn't know what she was getting into. She barely understands how to fucking drive.
Everyone, calm down, okay? Fellow artist here. I think we all in this room can unanimously agree that LenTotally is innocent.
Mom, help! There's weird anime kids in my room!
Think about it, LenTotally makes one mistake and admits to it. The response from the community is to try and ruin his whole career that he's built over for years and send him hate and death threats. I mean, personally, I just don't think that's very fair.
If he really does regret what he did, I would even be kind enough to say that he didn't know the victim was 14. But just from this comment, it seems like this is not the first time this has happened, and I bet you that there will be more victims. I don't doubt that for a second, that this is not the first time he's done this.
I am absolutely disgusted. I thought you were better than this. This has happened before and you do it again. I actually believed you didn't mean it the first time, but it seems like I was wrong. Adults these days, give kids a damn break. Len, please get some help. You need it. Hiding isn't going to help.
You know, that's really funny because for the past, 5 years in my life, I have known what grooming really means, and I have learned to say no. Finger. 4 years ago, people in a game that I actually liked tried to find out where I lived, so I just left the game and I blocked their bitch asses. Kids are dumb, but they're not like actual idiots. I think a 14-year-old who is probably older than me would know how to use the word no.
I'm 14, by the way. Look, it doesn't matter what you think you would have done in that moment. Unless you've actually been put in that position, and I hope to God no one ever is. Unless you've actually been put in that position where you are threatened into silence, where you're afraid to get somebody else in trouble, where you are uncomfortable and unsure what just happened was even right. Unless you are put in this situation, and I hope to God you never are, for yourself in real life, you have no right to tell others what they should have done in hindsight. Not only does this belittle the victim in telling them that they were stupid to get themselves victimized, but it also makes you look stupid as fuck. For if this were to ever happen to you, and you don't do exactly what you said you would do in hindsight, and instead are threatened into silence and forced to live with this guilt in thinking that this is your fault. Victims don't make victims of themselves. Only the perpetrators make other victims. And I hope to God this happens to nobody else. But I just hate people who say, well, why didn't you do this? I would have done this. Like, when you're talking to someone who's been through something really traumatic, and it's like you're trying to relate to their trauma, I guess, but in reality, you're really not helping, like, anybody, because this is somebody who's actually been put through it, and you're somebody who is speaking from hindsight that they just didn't have, or they probably did naturally, but then this sort of thing happened and they just didn't know what to do. Like, you're not being helpful. Shut up.
Hello, I am Gacha Life Goddess 606.
Where the fuck is there a wormhole?
And I just wanted to disclose the fact for everyone here. LenTotally is innocent and you need to get over it. You know, she's like 14 years old. 14-year-olds are capable of having babies. She clearly knew the risk that she was getting herself into when she started talking sexually to Len like this. 14-year-olds should know better. She clearly understood everything. She's not dumb. I mean, I should know. I'm studying psychiatry. I have mastered the mind of adults, children, and teenagers because I'm such a goddess. They are both at fault. End of discussion, coming from a clear professional.
No 14-year-old should be getting, like, pregnant in the first fucking place. God, like, these defenses are so fucking bad. And for someone who is studying psychiatry, I hope to God that you never become a fucking psychiatrist if this is what you legitimately think about victims.
But what you already don't know is that the victim is already, like, forgiven Len, so there's no reason to bring up all of this drama.
Do I have a phone? Can I call 911? Look, this isn't drama. This is a crime. Where the fuck did you see, like, the victim forgive Len? Because I've been looking at this situation since it started. Nowhere have I seen that, not even once.
You do understand that not all victims are victims, right? Right? Sometimes some people have just gotta come to the conclusion that some mistakes are their fault.
Dude, I fucking hate kids, man. If I ever get pregnant, I'm intentionally yeeting myself down a flight of stairs. I don't even fucking care.
Hi everyone. Hi, I love Baby Yoda, and I honestly don't think any of this really happened at all.
Okay, he literally admitted to all of the evidence, and you still don't think he did it? Can kids not read?
I mean, again, she could have just blocked him, so...
Okay, but why would she do that is the question. This is her idol. This is someone she looks up to. This is someone who she wants the attention of. Why the fuck would she block him?
Honestly, you're a bigot.
Naruto's so overrated.
Cringe.
You wanna see my katana collection? A fucking weeaboo. I'm learning.
Get out! All of you, get out! You, go! No, out! Get the fuck out! Get out! God, I hate children. I hate children so fucking much. I hate children. I hate children. Mom! Put me on birth control for the rest of my life! Okay, listen, for anyone out there who is trying to justify this by blaming the victim or trying to downplay what Len did or spread fake news that it didn't happen at all, if you as an adult, I'm speaking like to actual adults here, like, these kids are fucking stupid, they don't know better. If you, as a genuine-ass adult, truly, honest to God, believe that LenTotally is innocent, I want you to do me a favor, okay? I want you to stop breathing forever. Stop breathing for the rest of your life. Just stop. No more. You're not allowed to consume air. Stop. LenTotally's case is the most frustrating case I have ever covered on my channel. Because in a case like this, where the consensus would unanimously be negative usually, there's a mixed reaction to this, and I don't know why. Oh wait, I do know why. It's because kids are in denial and kids are fucking stupid. And I would be more mad about this, but you have to understand that these kids are defending their idol because they have this parasocial relationship to him, and they really care about him as a person and the art that he has given them for years. To put myself in the perspective of these children, for me to better understand this would be like if someone like Sophie Garrett was exposed as a predator. I would be in complete denial because as a child, That woman was my fucking queen. She was literally my childhood. So if she were exposed like this, it would be just absolutely devastating. I would be in defensive mode, trying to justify it in my head, because the concept of having to look at this person, someone that I admire, and say that they're a bad person, that's unthinkable. You know, as a kid, that's just not possible. You can't do that. As a dedicated fan, that's just something that's so hard to do. I'd be mad at the victim, because if it weren't for them making these claims, none of this would be happening right now, and I can continue to love my idol and enjoy their work for what it is. The problem with this line of thinking is that it's selfish. These people would rather Len be forgiven and have all of this forgotten about, and the victim left with this trauma, as their abuser is left with nothing but a slap on the wrist. All of this so that Len could continue, for the sake of his audience, to produce content for them and be their inspiration. And honestly, they're allowed to have this opinion. If they want to separate the art from the artist and continue to support the creative efforts that Len has brought to the community at large, that's totally fine. Separate and admire the art. That's completely understandable, and I agree with that 100%. As an artist, I want my art to be seen for what it is. I don't want it to reflect any horrible actions that I've ever done. I don't want my art that I put out there to be ruined if I severely fucked up like this. I would want people to separate the art from the artist as an artist myself. But here's the thing. You can admire his art without blaming the victim. You can enjoy Len's content and his animations without being such a dismissive cunt to the people he admitted he hurt. LenTotally is a predator, and these people need to admit it to themselves and get over it. You know, even though Len has this huge platform, he's still pretty, underground in terms of, the YouTube community at large. I didn't even know who he was, and apparently he was this huge YouTuber. I should have at least heard about him at some point. A lot of people really don't know who he is, and that's just because he's part of this Gacha Life niche on YouTube. Look, if Len was left up to be judged by the bigger, more well-known, higher up members of the community, say the commentary community, PewDiePie, Drama Alert, other commentary channels, if that was where he was at, this situation was brought to their attention, he would be torn to shreds. But because the Gacha Life community is the most affected by this, and the people looking and judging the situation are from the community, which is inhabited by a bunch of children, that means that those said children will be trying to judge upon this and justify what he did because they don't know better. They don't know how to go about predatory accusations in their community because they're children. They don't understand. They don't know. What are they supposed to do? I'm sure some of them know better, but kids are really impressionable. They're not stupid, but they can be very sheepish and talked into doing things that they're not necessarily understanding of what it is that they're actually being talked into doing. Kids, I'm not trying to downplay how smart you can be. I understand a lot of kids are very knowledgeable and probably smarter than me. Legit, they're probably smarter than me. I'm a stupid moron sometimes. Kids of this generation probably know more than I do about sex and sexual innuendos and adult stuff. I'm not trying to say that kids are stupid, but sometimes kids are stupid. Look, kids are really impressionable. So if they're given this impression that behavior like this is okay, they're gonna go around saying it and allowing this behavior to be a part of their regular lives when it's so damaging. That's why I like covering smaller cases like this, because people like this have the higher likelihood of making a return and staying under the radar long enough to have this all disappear. Len, out of anyone that I have covered, has the largest potential of getting away with this and having everyone forget about it. But I don't want this to disappear. I want Len to be reminded every day for the rest of his YouTube career that he is totally a predator. Don't attack or send hate towards those who are defending Len. They don't understand. They don't know any better. They don't get that this is wrong. They will learn with time that this is not okay, that they are not on the right side of the argument on this. Plus, the mass majority of the Gacha Life community right now are turning on Len, so don't think that this sort of support is the huge majority. It's negative for the most part, but I just want to highlight and give attention to this because this can't just go under the radar and disappear. It needs to be addressed, and Len needs to be exposed for what he truly is. I know I've already made like 2 videos discussing like horrible people like this, making the same points over and over again. But the reason I make videos like this repeating myself is so that people defending this stuff understand that they are on the wrong side of the argument here, and that normalizing and allowing this behavior to be a part of your regular lives is dangerous and it's not okay. Support each other and the victims, because victim blaming is the biggest reason as to why so many of these cases go unreported for so long. If there are more victims of LenTotally, which I have no doubt that there are, please talk to someone you can trust. You are loved, you are not at fault, and you are not alone. And although these people are gonna try and discard what you have to say, there is a huge majority of people who are going to fight tooth and nail for you so that you can get the justice you deserve. Stay away from LenTotally.
Number 1 victory royale, yeah, Fortnite, we bout to get down. 10 kills on the board right now, just wiped out Tomato Town. My friend just gone down, I revived him, now we're heading southbound. Now we're in the Pleasant Park streets, look at the map, go to the marked sheet. Take me to your Xbox to play Fortnite today. You can take me like Steve Meyer, but not Loot Lake. I really love to chug with you. We can be performing.